Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join us yet again at the Wellington charging station for, yes, another range test. Winter is coming. These are the last few really nice days that we have. So I'm trying to get all the range and efficiency tests in before the winter time starts. What we're doing is actually my personal car today. This is my Tesla Model S Plaid. It only has about 3,500 miles on it, so it's still really fresh. And I've thrown on the aero wheels, the 19-inch aero wheels, to see just how far we can go in a charge at 70 miles an hour. Now, you and I have range tested many Teslas over the years. It'll be really interesting to see how far the Plaid goes on the efficiency wheels. There's some intricacies with Teslas when it comes to range testing and efficiency calculations, so we're going to get into all of that. But I'm using the CCS adapter to DC fast charge it to full to warm up the battery. I'm going to first tell you about the car, then the testing procedures, then we're going to head out, go up to Cheyenne into Nebraska on literally this perfect day for range testing. 72 degrees, sunny, no wind. Couldn't ask for anything better. So let's go see how far the Plaid goes on a single charge. Back there is also our Rivian. Alyssa came over here to juice it up and just to spend a little time charging together, I guess. But let's talk about the Model S Plaid. This is a 2022 Tesla Model S Plaid. It is the newest variation or variant of Model S, I should say. It has the tilting screen on the inside. It has the new charge port, the new taillights. It is freshy, freshy, fresh. Now, this is the car that had a small little accident with Jordan when he was test driving it. We've made some videos about that, but Tesla, it's been in, they repaired it. It's totally fine. No major damage, just some suspension components. So I'm not expecting any impact on our range test from that small little impact with the curb. Everything is fixed to 100% is my understanding. So everything is fresh on here. We've thrown on the 19-inch wheels, which is interesting. 245 section tires up front, 285s in the rear. Pretty spicy rear tire for being the base tire option here. Let's see what they actually are. I don't even think they're Pirelli P0. They're Tesla original. That's the TO, and that's an electric tire. Has a little bit of that nice tire shine on there, which looks good. Thanks to Colton for that. And yeah, pretty interesting. I recently just tested the Lucid Air Grand Touring, which had 245 section tires front and rear. This is 285s in the rear. Wow, so a lot more tire on the Model S than the Lucid Air here, considering these are the aero options. So we have a roughly 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. We have 3 electric motors, 2 in the rear, 1 in the front, all permanent magnet, no disconnects here. Tesla has worked magic with these motors to make them have very little flux related losses at speed. I've been blown away by the efficiency in my ownership of this car, but I think I've actually driven the Lucid Air farther than I've driven this car now. So I need to spend a little bit more time with the Plaid to get to know it, to see how far it goes on a charge, and that's exactly what we're doing here. I want to say a huge thank you to Sparrow World for sponsoring today's video. Hey, these guys are doing something pretty incredible. They are supporting our forgotten Afghan allies through this wonderful charity, which you can find on freedomraffle.org. All you have to do is purchase a $150 ticket, and you're immediately entered to win a Tesla Model S Plaid. Guess what? Sparrow World already has the Plaid, so as soon as you win the raffle, it shouldn't take long for you to get the car. On top of that, you have the best chances ever that I've seen of winning one of these cars in the raffles that we've done here. And that's because Sparrow World has only sold about 20% of their tickets coming up to their deadline. So all you have to do is head to freedomraffle.org to support our forgotten Afghan allies by purchasing some tickets. And of course, you're entered to win that awesome Model S Plaid. Best of luck, and thank you to Sparrow Worldwide for sponsoring today's video. As with almost all of the range tests, Alyssa is setting up our live stream. I always live stream them over on our Out of Spec Motoring channel. I've set the tire pressures to the manufacturer suggested pressures, and we are of course DC fast charging the car to full. What we did was we preconditioned the car to the nearest Tesla supercharger. A lot of chatter online, which is how do you have manual battery preconditioning without, when using CCS stations, I should say. And 2 things you can do. The first is you can navigate to the next closest supercharger. The car will still try and warm itself up, or you can just drive the crap out of it and yo-yo it and warm it up. But thankfully there's a supercharger not too far away, so we put that in the nav, drove it over here pretty hard, and plugged in at about 38 or 40% state of charge. DC charging it up to full will get the battery temperature pretty consistent across the pack, nice and warm. That's what we want to see. And then what we're going to do is, as soon as it completes, sometimes Teslas take a really long time to complete because they have to top balance the pack. This car has not been full charged in a long time, so it'll be good for it to top balance. I'm going to wait the whole hour, however long it takes for it to top balance. And then we're going to unplug, jump onto I-25, set it to 70 miles an hour GPS, throw it on autopilot, and go until it's time to turn around and come back here completely dead. Now with Teslas, they actually have, after about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, they've put in a software buffer at the bottom of the battery pack, which means when it displays 0% state of charge, right when it dips down, there's actually about 3 kilowatt hours left in there on 3 and Y. On Model S and X, the rumor is there might actually be closer to 4 kilowatt hours in there, but just like I did with the Model X, what I'm going to do is go to 0, and then I'm going to add 3 more kilowatt hours to the car with driving. Basically, I should say remove 3 more kilowatt hours out of it. And that way we're pretty much completely dead at that point. If the car still feels like it has significant performance, then I'll still keep driving it until hopefully we don't run out on the street. But our job here is to get everything we can out of the battery pack. So I'm going to get the live stream set up. We're going to let the car complete. Then we're going to head out and perform the test. Well, I accidentally had the charging limit here in the charging session to about 90-95%. So I had to reconnect the session. We're back charging up to 100%. Pretty good. I saw 50 kilowatts at 95%. That's the most I've ever seen from a Tesla. So that's pretty awesome. Sometimes, and I think this car will be no exception, I think we're going to see this thing show completed here, but still taking power. I'm actually running the air conditioning as it helps bleed off the pack a little bit to top charge. So I'm going to be running AC and waiting for it to actually kick off the charger over here. When we get really close, after it's sort of top balanced for a while, maybe I'll kick off AC and stop pulling the load through the charging port. But yep, we're almost ready to go, 98%. Let's see, will we be back by dark, 3 o'clock? Yes, I imagine it will be dark by the time we get back, but nice and warm right now, 81 degrees, and man, I just could not imagine a more perfect day for this. This looks beautiful. And after only about 30 minutes of sitting at 99% or so, we just completed at 100. Let's just take a look to see what the car is predicting. 396 miles. What's interesting is that is exactly the EPA rated range of this car on these wheels. So let's unplug the port. I'm going to put this away. We'll reset trip A and off we go as soon as we can onto the highway. As usual, what we're going to do is go 68 to 70 degrees automatic. We're going to go here to trips. We're going to reset trip A. Boom. We're going to put it in drive, and off we go on the range test. I'm going to check the GPS speed as soon as we merge on the highway to make sure that when we get onto the highway, we're going to be sitting at 70 miles an hour GPS verified constant. We got the live stream guys with us. We got half a steering wheel. That probably does not help with range at all. Doesn't really help with anything in my opinion, but some people like it. No regen at all. Wow, having to use friction brakes there. This half a wheel thing. And we're putting a round wheel on it in about 3 weeks, so just stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's go run the Plaid in the 70 mile an hour test. Can't wait to see how it does. There's no efficiency modes in Tesla. However, there are some pedal response settings that we can change. So let's actually go here. Suspension low, which is how I always have it set. We're going to run comfort dampers because we want smoothness, and I'm going to put it in chill mode. Not that it makes much of a difference because it's just up to throttle, but here we go. Leaving the charging station, 100% state of charge. This thing is full, indicating 396 miles. Let's put it back to percentage, display, percentage, 100% state of charge. I think this is one of the few times the Plaid's ever completed at 100%. 3,600 miles on this thing, 3,650 miles in the odometer, squeezing right onto the highway. That's what we like to see. We're going to hit 70 miles an hour right at the end of the on-ramp. I'm then going to pull out the GPS log, confirm that it's actually 70, and then we'll just kind of sit there for a few hours until this thing runs out of juice. That's kind of the plan. Let's do it. 63, 4, 5. Oh, maybe a little bit more acceleration. It is a Plaid. There it is, 70 indicated. Let's lock it in. Let's put it on autopilot by double clicking the right scroll wheel. I'm gonna pull out the GPS app and confirm that that's correct. I've just locked us on at 70 miles an hour GPS accurate, which is actually 71 indicated, and we're just cruising along. This thing is great, but I just did the Lucid Air range test, and this is significantly louder on the inside. So either way, we're gonna be cruising along for a few hours, and just clicked down to 99% from 100. I have no idea what to expect. EPA 396, I'm thinking if we can hit 300 miles, that would be great. I don't even know what to expect. We'll have to see. So let's go. I'll update you throughout the drive, but almost perfect conditions, no wind throughout the drive. I checked the windy app. We're talking under 10 miles an hour, well under 10 miles an hour for the majority of this, just a couple miles an hour in some places. And beautiful, beautiful day for it. Blue skies for miles. And here we are crossing into Wyoming, going across the sign here. We always see, it's a good indication as to our percentage remaining, and the car's predicting 93%, which is very high. Actually, I think the same as the Lucid Air. The Lucid Air dipped to 92, a little bit up above, so maybe we won't go as far as that car, but wow, this is going to be a long one, because if we come in above 90% past the Wyoming sign, again, it's a little bit uphill on the way to Cheyenne, always a good sign that we're going to have a great result here. So, man, 300 miles is sounding like a possibility, maybe even more. Again, this car is running the 5-cycle EPA test, so we're not expecting 396 miles or better like we see with Taycan and e-tron GT and others. We are, we might be pleasantly surprised here, folks. I don't know, but good weather, 73 degrees, just a tad warmer than when we did the Lucid Air. It was 65 degrees average when we did that test. So pretty similar conditions, I have to say. Let's just keep rolling in the Plaid and seeing what happens. But wow, just loving the drive as usual. Can't believe this is work. And our next update is actually in Nebraska. We are still not at 75% state of charge, still at 80%. Our stats so far, 262 watt-hour per mile, crazy efficient, 73 miles. Of course, none of this really matters because we haven't driven round trip yet, but 80% state of charge, 72 degrees and sunny, almost no wind. I am hoping for a good result today, and just an absolutely beautiful landscape. A Nebraskan traffic jam as normal. Just crazy to see this many cars out here, of course. So let's keep it going. Just checking in here, we are at 74%, excuse me for missing 75 by 1%, but we've driven 94 miles so far, 260 watt-hour per mile, and total energy consumed 24 kilowatt hours according to this display here. My understanding is the energy efficiency is pretty much on the money, but I'm not sure about the total energy being on the money. Tesla might hide some of their heat loss by not showing it in this calculation, but either way, all looking good. Loving the drive, having fun on the live stream chat. The car's nice and smooth. And one thing I was battling with it though was when you hit bumpy roads, it automatically raises the suspension to medium, so I had to keep hitting it into low suspension. I think I did that twice, something like that. But all good, just cruising along, and yeah, loving the Model S. Great road tripper right here. Really nice road tripper. Just like we did the other day in the Lucid Air, we're actually going to pull off the exit here. We're just at the start of a construction zone that goes on for 8 miles. See, it says another 6 miles to go. And so I'm actually going to pull the car off here, and we're going to take that frontage road that runs alongside and do a loop. That way we don't sit at lower than 70 miles an hour for a long period of time. So to me, this seems to be the best compromise, and maybe if we have to do another loop and it's nighttime and there's no traffic, we could squeeze through. But ultimately, we're just going to go right over there, run 70 miles an hour on the way back. We'll hook up with the highway momentarily, but this works really well. Passing zones all the way on the road. Nebraskan traffic jam, really hard to pull out here, of course. So, yep, let's go down to the next road. Off in the distance to the left is the highway with that construction zone, and here we are just cruising right next to it on the frontage road, sitting at 70 miles an hour. Couldn't ask for anything better. I'm glad we found out about this trick, because this is a great way to avoid that construction zone and keep the test going. We're actually looping back around, heading back towards Cheyenne. We can just loop around on I-80 if needed. of course, to complete out the test. So we're still at 67%. I'll update you when we're closer to 50%. But yep, we'll just be looping around out here in the middle of Nebraska, doing the test as usual. Perfect conditions. The sun is just pounding us head on right here. So hard to see the road. But I have to say, even with direct sunlight, I'm very impressed with autopilot's ability to lane center. That is a good sign for the vision only stuff. I will say we've had over 10 phantom brakings on this trip so far though. And yeah, just pretty rough with the phantom braking, but at least the lane centering portion hasn't been an issue at all. I've just had to manually accelerate from time to time to keep the car from slowing down. So sun should be over the horizon here shortly, let's hope. Cummins going for the pass. And yep, hopefully the sun will be out of our eyes so we can safely keep driving. And with this beautiful sunset in front of us, we are at 50% state of charge. Temperature is dropping quite quickly, I will say, so that's going to be an interesting thing. Let's take a look at our efficiency. 178 miles so far. We've used 47 kilowatt hours, and we're at 264 watt hour per mile. Again, keep in mind that there is that buffer below zero, so we're going to keep this test going for a while. But wow, 264 watt hour per mile. We've been on the return loop for a while. That's pretty impressive efficiency considering 3 motors, 1,000 horsepower. This is just, wow, totally blowing me away with its efficiency right now. Insane. Look at that sky too, beautiful. Check out the moon in the rear view right there. That is just absolutely gorgeous with the sunset off. This is like the best range test views ever. Absolutely gorgeous here in the middle of Nebraska. Actually, we're in Wyoming right now. I love Wyoming. This is just crazy. One thing I wanted to mention is the road noise in the Model S. Just a little bit of anecdotal feedback is when there's smooth pavement like right now, dead silent in here, really nice and quiet. So that tells me that there's very little wind noise. There's very little tire cavity noise, not hearing any of this high frequency, but surface noises do transfer through very loud. So when we're on a concrete surface or something like that, that's when this car gets really loud. So wind is well under control, I would say. Very similar and on par to others. The noise cancellation might help, but as soon as you get the bumps in the road and concrete surface, whoa, so much louder than EQS, Lucid, Audi, e-tron, anything like that. But ultimately, when you have smooth pavement in a Model S, wow, this thing rocks. Up to this point, we've only done one turnaround so far, but I think we're actually going to flip around here and head back the other way. The car's predicting a 27% arrival, which is a bit too high. So I think we'll flip around, turn around, and go until this gets down into the single-digit range before we head back and down I-25. So we're just outside of Cheyenne at 40% state of charge. We're going to exit here, kicking it off of 70 miles an hour, just a little bit of regen, just to shave some of the speed off. We'll loop around, head back, and see what this thing does. But so far, I think we're actually following our Lucid's range test to a T. These are the exact exits that we've taken so far with both cars. So that's pretty interesting, although it is a little bit colder now with the Model S, but we also started a little bit warmer than the Lucid. So bigger temperature swing during this test, but with heat pump in Model S and some other things, maybe it doesn't matter. It's also not running any battery conditioning would be my guess. Temperatures are totally fine here in the car. So let's just see if we can scooch on through. The answer is yes, if we're swift about it, which we are. Very nice. Let's merge back onto 80 East and head away from our final destination back in Wellington, Colorado. Heading in this direction now, and wow, what a freaking view. One of our live stream viewers said that is Jupiter up there on the right side of the screen. Super neat, full moon tonight, spooky sky, but just really, really cool views here. And gliding along, temperature is dropping, but everything's happening great here in the Model S. Couldn't be happier. And we are almost back to the Nebraska border. I'm gonna flip around here in Pine Bluffs. We're gonna merge back onto the highway and head to Wellington, Colorado. So last loop over to this way. Let's turn around and head on back. You join us now at 25% state of charge, cruising along here. Had to do a little bit of a drag race with that truck, and actually just a little phantom hesitation. Quite a bit of phantom braking on this trip, I have to say. So let's go here to our trips and see how far we've gone. 262 miles, 70 kilowatt hours used, 268 watt hour per mile, and we're at 25% state of charge. Our next plan is to head down towards where we started. The car expects 11% arrival, and then we're just going to kind of loop around in the area until we hit 0% and then go 3 kilowatt hours past that. And that should be a pretty good range test, I hope. And we are just about to pass where we started here in Wellington. Temperatures have stayed pretty mild. We're here at 54 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very nice. This is where we started. We are at exactly 10% state of charge. We've traveled 315 miles so far, 84 kilowatt hours used, and 265 watt hour per mile. Again, I'm not totally sure Tesla accounts for everything in their total energy, but I do know as soon as this hits 0% state of charge, we're going to go for another 3 kilowatt hours. So we are looping past where we started, and we're going to keep driving until this thing is well below 0%. We are just on the final stretch, figuring out the right way to run it out. We're at 5% state of charge, heading away from the charging station. The car says if we take the next exit, we will get back to the charging station at 1% state of charge. To me, that seems pretty perfect, and then we can run it down on the frontage roads. But let's take that next exit, 288, 5.4 miles away. We'll get another 15 miles of highway driving at 70 miles an hour constant. And I cannot wait to reveal the numbers to you guys, because this thing is just going way farther than I think any of us expected. And here we are rolling up at the end of our test. We are at 1% state of charge. We've been at 1% for a few miles now. We have traveled, I'm going to give you the final number. There we go, 348 miles at 70 miles an hour constant. But of course, we have more to go. We're going to go running up and down the frontage roads and see just how far we can actually take this thing. So once it hits 0, we're going to see how many kilowatt hours we've pulled out of the pack. And then we are going to basically run it 3 more than that. So I'm thinking we'll see 96 kilowatt hours, 95, 96 pulled out. I'm also keeping a really close eye on these dots. I know they're hard to see. I wish they were a bit more transparent, because that's our power limitation. Normally this gray bar goes all the way out. And so just need to see our power limitation to know what this thing has left in it. One other point of note is, or one other thing to note is the Model S has not given us any warnings about it getting low. It just says 1% there in the corner. There's no user messages. Nothing pops up that says you're this far away left on the charge. Nothing at all like that. So here we are pulling onto the frontage road. We're going to go run up and down it. Sorry for the dirty camera. I can wash that here in a second. But let's go cruise. We can cruise at about 60, 65 miles an hour down this road. Keep the speeds up and run it all the way out. We are just cruising up the frontage road at 60 miles an hour right now. We're about to cross 350 miles traveled. Take a look at that trip A, or since last charge. No stopping yet. This thing is just going and running right alongside the highway. So this is why I love this frontage road, because we can just maintain speed. And if we run out of juice, we're not stuck on the highway. We're kind of here on this back little road that almost no one drives on. So really, really good plan for us. So let's keep seeing how this thing goes. But I don't know what to expect, but I'm thinking, wow, way better than I was thinking when we left. We have just crossed 0% state of charge. We have 93 kilowatt hours out of the pack, so we're shooting for 96 kilowatt hours here. I'm going to keep driving away from the charger, and yeah, let's just see what this thing does. I'm also going to keep an eye on this power meter. If it really looks like there's a degradation of performance very quickly, that means that we're pretty much out. Again, I don't have all the Tesla, Scan My Tesla stuff hooked up in this car, so this is purely guessing based off of other Teslas. Don't try this at home. I'm not at home, so it's totally fine. Yep, Alyssa may just have to come and rescue me with the Rivian and tow me back in, but hey, we're on a frontage road. There's no one around, kind of fun. And yeah, living the dream. This is great. So cruising along still at 55 miles an hour or so. We got some energy to pull out of this pack. We have been driving at 55 miles an hour for some time now. We are going to go up to about 96 kilowatt hours pulled out of the pack, but I'm watching the power meter drop. So I'm actually just heading to get on the other side closer to the charger now. That way, because there's a little bit of an incline to get up and over the highway. Just want to make sure if we need to push it to the charger, we're as close as possible. So just cruising along at 55 miles an hour and couldn't ask for anything better. We are just running up and down frontage roads now, close to the charger. Our first warning just came up. We've been driving 10 plus miles past zero, and it says you're almost too far from known charging locations. Okay, 95 kilowatt hours pulled out of the battery pack now. What I'm gonna do is a simple maneuver called a U-turn, and we're gonna just go back and hope we make it. And if not, hopefully someone can help push me into the charger, because now we're on the same side as the charger. You can see pretty big power reduction, but there's still more to give. And so we're gonna give it everything she's got. Let's do it. We are now on our final return to the charger. Is my gut feeling the power meter is coming in real close to where we need it to be to sustain power. And it's not like we're near any major milestones, but I think we're pretty much out of juice on this thing. I'm just trying to build up a little bit of speed in case it does just run out, which Teslas are known to do. They're known to just cut it, and that way we can try and do our best to coast into the charger. So there we go, 96 kilowatt hours out of the pack. That's 3 past zero, or I should say 3 past when we hit 0%. So that's all the buffer I know of. So it's a good thing we're building up some speed to get into the charger, and I'll let you know if we can coast in on fumes, but it's gonna be tight. All right, here we go, blasting through the town just in case we need to. Low suspension is not the smoothest, just in case we need to smooth in, or coast in, I should say. 0% for a long time, 96 kilowatt hours out of the pack for a little while as well. We've been at 96, so it's 96 and a bit. I'll give you the final stats, but we are back into the parking lot, folks. And this is freaking awesome. Hell yeah, brother. Live on the edge. Yep. I don't know. I think this thing's got a couple laps left in it, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, she's pretty much dead. All right. Over to the charging station. Let's back it in, plug it in, and I'll give you the final results here momentarily. We have arrived into park now. Charge immediately to ensure vehicle will start, remain responsive, and to avoid potential battery repair. Don't worry, we're going to do that. Let's shut climate control off. Let me give you the final stats of this thing. 365 miles, 263 watt hour per mile, 96 kilowatt hours used. Again, I'm not sure totally what Tesla's referencing for this, if they're referencing any of their heat loss or things like that, but still, that's everything out of the pack. 3 kilowatt hours past when we hit zero. The car's still pretty fresh, 4,000 miles on it, and that is just a huge result, way more than I thought. So let's go plug it in. Station activated and charging. Woohoo! It's getting a bit brisk out here, 53 degrees. That was just a mega result. Mega result. And battery pack voltage really low. It was 330 volts and it's 460 full. So there we are, the full 200 amps that the CPE 250 can give us through that cable right there. We're gonna charge this thing up, and then it's dinner time for me. Say hey to the live stream, little live stream inception, and sweet. That was awesome. And wow, from pack voltage at 330 volts at zero to 370 just at 1%, said we were right at the bottom because we had everything drained out. So no question, we maxed this sucker out. Still can't believe the result. Now, typically I don't like to compare my results to anyone else's in different environments. I typically run cars here on this loop in our environment. But it is worth noting my friend Tom ran a Model S Plaid in a very similar test setup the same way we do it. And it was on different wheels, 21-inch wheels. And he got pretty much 300 miles, maybe a little bit less, 298, 299, something like that. We got a lot more on the aeros. Huge efficiency. Let's just double check that efficiency. So Tesla claims 263 watt hour per mile. That's indicated. But if I look at that in miles per kilowatt hour, that's 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Wow, pretty freaking good. So not as efficient as the Lucid Air, but not far off for a 13-year-old car with 1,000 horsepower and 3 motors. This thing rocks. Can't wait to get the Martian MW05 wheels back on here and get the big brakes mounted from Mountain Pass Performance, get the round wheel on, and then the performance stuff starts. So stay tuned for more. Also want to say a huge shout out to Alyssa for, she guessed the Lucid Air within, right on the money. She guessed 2 or 3, what did she guess? 436, and the car did 435.5. This one, she guessed 367, and the car did 365 point something. So she is like the witch or wizard or whatever you want to call it of range tests. She was less than 2 miles off on this car and less than a half a mile off on the Lucid Air. That's insane. Totally insane. I don't know how she does it. So anyway, there you go. I guess I don't need to range test cars anymore. We should just ask Alyssa how far she thinks it'll go. And that's what it does. So thanks for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. Can't wait to bring more Plaid content to you. Not boring range tests, but full-on track tire shredding stuff. See you on another one soon. Bye-bye.